He was my first ever co-anchor on television, and wow, did we have a lot of fun together. Yeah. Many years ago, we read the Noon Hour News together, and you know what? Never really felt like work. He has quite a sense of humor and an unbelievable dry wit. He used to make me laugh so hard, I could barely compose myself at times. We'd be coming back from commercial breaks, and I would still be laughing. Truth is, he makes everyone around him laugh. He's fun and funny and smart and caring and a solid journalist. He was also battling a crazy opioid addiction for years, and none of us knew. None of us even suspected it because he managed to hide it so well. So how does this even happen? How is it that people you feel you are close to, care about, and good friends with could be in the battle of their life and you don't even know it? What do we need to learn about this journey, and how can we recognize the symptoms and help? Today, we're going to learn together with a no-holds-barred conversation about a crisis that is claiming the lives of up to 11 Canadians every single day. Canada is facing a national opioid crisis. Officials say the growing number of overdoses and deaths caused by opioids is a public health emergency. I am honored to welcome my dear friend and former colleague, Joel Gotlib, to the Inner Circle today. It is so good to see you. But I feel like I need to begin by saying sorry that I didn't reach out, but I had no idea. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you.
Oh, please, you don't have to apologize. You know, anybody who said that to me, you don't have to apologize. That's so kind of you to say that and feel that.
You know, when I look at you and I think about you, all that comes to mind is all the fun. God, we had fun on that news desk. Do you remember?
Yeah.
People used to write into the show and tune in for the infotainment. Like, give us more. They said they felt like it was like some kind of entertainment show, not a news broadcast.
I remember when we talked about slotting in an extra 20 seconds per segment for you and I to just chat. And then our news director saying, you know, I like you chatting, but that's too much, so let's find a balance.
All the time, and our producer was even in on it too, Janetta Sacha.
Yeah.
She'd be like, just let him go, let him go. And look, you got me laughing again.
I didn't do anything.
You did a lot. You brought a lot of happiness and joy into my days when we worked together, and that I will always be grateful to you for. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's not forget Jackie Sundquist, who was also our director, that we had a lot of great times with.
Yeah, we
she
sure
was
did.
fun too.
Yeah, they all were.
You and I clicked.
We did. It was very, very natural.
So much fun.
From the very beginning.
It's so good to see you again.
And you as well. I've got to start here with the questions and with your battle.
Yeah.
Did it start when we were on the desk together?
No. It was long after that. Okay. Long after that.
So take us back to the beginning. And where did this battle begin? What caused it?
Back pain and sciatica and a compressed disc in my back. It started back in, let me see, it was 2011. Okay, it started back in 2011. And I'm out walking the dog in the West End and in the middle of winter, and all of a sudden my right leg, shooting pain down my right leg, and it goes numb. And I had no idea what was going on. Tried walking a few more steps, and the next thing I know, I find myself, I'm on the ground, and the dog is around me, like, what's wrong, sniffing me. And it scared the life out of me. So I go back home, I tell my wife at the time, Samantha, I gotta go to the hospital, I gotta go right now. I end up in the U of A emergency ward. They tell me I'm suffering from sciatica. They gave me 2 Percocet pills and sent me home with 6. Okay, that's how it started.
Okay.
And then I went to see my family doctor shortly thereafter. And I think he sent me to a physiotherapist, Grant Fedork, who's an incredible physiotherapist at Leading Edge Physiotherapy. And he does something called IMS, intramuscular stimulation. Okay, they stick needles into your muscle. They're like acupuncture type needles. but they go right into the muscle. So you're being stabbed with this. Idea is to damage the area to improve it. So that helped a little bit, but then after about 5 or 6 sessions, I still had the pain, but it was easing up. I stopped seeing him, started going through excruciating pain, started walking with a cane, ended up back in my doctor's office, my doctor at the time, and pleaded with him to help me alleviate the agony, okay? Like, chronic pain is, if you don't have it, then you don't understand how bad it is. Like, I was at the point where I could understand how people would want to end their lives because of the constant pain that they are experiencing each day, every single second of every single minute of every single hour. So my doctor at the time prescribed me Percocet, and from there on in, I was getting it every month, and I needed to increase my dosage, so I pleaded with him for that. He did, and I don't think he had any ill intention whatsoever. A good man, but doctors were prescribing Percocet. Still are.
Joel, I have never taken a Percocet, and for anyone listening, what is it like? I've taken T3s.
Yeah.
I have had surgery where I've had morphine, but what does it feel like when you take a Percocet?
So, it alleviates the pain to a certain degree. You feel happier, lighter, more carefree, and you have a certain type of buzz that feels good. And depending on your tolerance, you either can or cannot function. I could.
Were you taking Percocet when you were reading the news?
In the later years, yes. I would say from about 2015 on. Because I came into work one day, and listen, I'm not proud of this, okay? But you have to understand, I have a condition, compressed disc,
Okay,
etc.
pause. There's no judgment here. The fact that you are sharing your story right now and speaking out is, and being so vulnerable, we admire your strength, so there's no judgment here. So
Thank you.
I want to make sure that everybody knows that, and we're not judging, we're listening and we're learning. So
okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I tried taking a Percocet at work one day, and I found that I could focus very well and do the tasks that I needed to do and do them very well at the beginning.
okay, at the beginning, was it still alleviating your pain?
To a certain degree, not completely.
So then you're needing them because...
I think that they're calming my nerves too, and they're making it fun to be at work, more fun to be at work. This is what I'm thinking. I'm interacting differently with my coworkers. I'm being funnier and coming up with quick-witted responses to things, and I'm happier, okay? Because there was a lot of darkness that was going on in my life at the time. And as things got darker, I started taking more. There were times when I had panic attacks at the anchor desk. So I convinced myself that taking a couple of Percocet, or 1 Percocet or 1.5 Percocet before a newscast would help calm my nerves. Okay, this is the thinking I was in.
Did it work?
I don't know. I don't know. I think sometimes it did, but I remember a couple of times at least where I did that and I still had a panic attack.
Okay.
All right, this is live on air, panic attack. But you know, I had those before I started taking Percocet.
So, but you weren't making the connection at the time. How many Percocet were you taking a day?
On average, 9.
9.
On average, 9, and when I had enough or more, I would take about 15 over the course of the day.
Well, were you developing some sort of intolerance?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Because when I first started, I would take 3 a day, morning, noon, and night. And I would catch a buzz, and it would help with the pain. But I needed more, consequently, after that. And that's what it came to.
So, did you tell your doctor that this is going on?
No. No, I didn't. Why would I tell my doctor? I'm an addict.
Well, I guess we need to understand that way of thinking, because how many pills did you get? Where did you keep getting them from?
My doctors at the time, I pleaded with them. I never bought off the street, okay? Because I have 3 children, you know, and I have people that love me, and I could be buying a death pill, okay? Because people are putting fentanyl in it now,
Yes.
right? Because it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the most important things from all of this, is that people don't buy off the streets, all right? And, you know, also, so paramount in this is don't resort to Percocet. I'm sorry, it's addicting and it's ruining lives.
Was there a point when you were taking that many a day that it ever dawned on you that you were addicted?
Mm-hmm. Yes, but
Tell me about it. Like, when did you realize that this is a problem?
when I had to start carrying it around with me, I had to make sure that I had the oxycodone on me, because if I started going into some type of withdrawal, I would resort to that.
Joel, you talked about darkness in your life and what you were going through. Can you take us to what that darkness was like and what was going on in your personal life?
Yeah, sure, I can. You know, the panic attack started back in around 2009 when my mother was dying of heart disease, and she passed away December 11th of 2009.
I remember that.
Okay, and I had a new child, Emma, and she was about 6 months old when my mom died. I was gambling a lot at the time, and so I was worried about finances. I was responsible for this new soul that came into the world, and my mom had passed, and that translated into sporadic panic attacks at the anchor desk. Okay, 30 seconds or more at last. I didn't know what it was at first, and that scared the hell out of me. I later found out from my doctor that it was a panic attack. I went to see a psychologist. He made me understand what it was. I acknowledged it, tried to deal with it and have it treated, and I managed it a little bit better, but it still happened. Okay, now I'm taking you through the long form of this, okay?
Was this related to your mom's death? The grief manifesting itself that way, do you think?
Yeah, it's connected in some way.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had a disintegrating disc in her neck when I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old, and she spent many months in traction, many months in the hospital, and she became addicted to painkillers and ended up at the Clark Institute, I believe it's called, in Toronto, Clark Institute for Addiction Research, and she was treated for her addiction to the painkillers. Unintentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't intend to get hooked. You don't want to have to go to rehab, but it happened to her too. So I think subconsciously, in the back of my mind somewhere, there's a synapse that's connected
Perhaps,
to that memory.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not blame this on her. I blame this all on me. Yeah.
So back, you had just welcomed Emma.
Right, and
saw
I'm
the
experiencing these
psychologist.
panic
Yeah.
attacks. All right, and then 2 years later, 2011, I start experiencing severe back pain and sciatica. Right?
Yeah.
I'm taking you through.
Yes.
Remind me what the answer to the
So
question
then,
was.
yeah. Oh, so where I'm going is what was happening in your personal life at that time, because you have
Right.
3 kids.
Yeah. Right.
And full-time job, a public figure. What was the darkness, and how did that work with your personal life?
Okay, the darkness really started in, I believe it was 2015, when I became the target of an online stalker. Okay? That's when the darkness came into the world. I remember it was December 4th of, oh gosh, I can't remember whether it was 2014 or 2015. This lady came after me and my children and my wife at the time, making imposter Facebook pages of my children, making, oh God, what's the word? Defamatory websites of me and my family. And that puts you in a place that you don't want to be in, because it became a daily occurrence for a year and a half. For a year and a half, every day you're being targeted by an online stalker, okay? You talk about the power of social media. Well, if you take the power of social media and you put hell into that, okay? And and spite for no good reason, your life becomes a living hell, and it did for a year and a half. And then that story in itself becomes more rooted into other things, like roots grow from all of this, okay? So I'm going through physical pain. I'm going through the pain of the agony of being hit by an online stalker. So if I come back to the Percocets for a moment, you have something that makes you feel better and happy, you think. And thereby the addiction increases, okay? It doesn't always work that way, because sometimes it exacerbates the agony that you're going through. Okay, and halfway through this year and a half of being stalked, Daniel Woodall, Constable Daniel Woodall, one of the investigating officers on the case from Edmonton Police Hate Crimes, is shot and killed in the line of duty. Okay, and I had met him a short time earlier, and that just boggled my mind and hit me in the core. And he was killed trying to help another family going through a similar type of online bully problem. He was trying to help them, and the suspect shot him. So that really messed me up too. And she was eventually caught and brought to justice. She was arrested in Germany and extradited. It became this really big deal. And convicted on 16 of 18 counts, criminal harassment, impersonation, and basically got time served. And I really hope she's okay. Okay, I really hope she's okay.
That's courageous of you to say.
I really do. And it was a horrible time. And then the difficulties manifested by that, you have to deal with it in your marriage. And my wife at the time and I dealt with it in different ways. She had her way of dealing with it. I had my way of dealing with it, which was go after this person as hard as I can, and look at everything that's being posted and pass it along to EPS so they have the evidence needed to make a conviction. It became a job, okay? And it's not a job, it's not a kind of job that you want. The marriage broke down. We had 3 children, and we separated. And that was hard because I was no longer living with my children. And I didn't get to see them as often as I wanted to. And life changed completely for them, and I felt horribly guilty about that. And then there were bright spots, okay? Shortly after, months after being separated, I met Joanna, my now fiancée, who is a rock, and we can talk more about her later, but she helped me see the light and get to the good place. And, but don't get me wrong about my ex-wife. She is a beautiful soul and very well-intentioned, and we just didn't deal with it together the way we needed to, and there were other problems. So I say that.
As you're going through this, what's happening with your Percocet usage?
It is increasing steadily or staying. No, listen, there's only so much you can do, okay? So I was up to 12 or 15 a day when I had enough to use, and I knew that I could get more within the proper time frame. But I'm also on a drug called clonazepam, which is a benzo, as they call it, and that is a type of sedative to ease the nerves of your panic attacks and, feeling nervous all the time.
Can you combine those two?
You're not supposed to. They can kill you.
Did you know this?
No, but I learned it and refused to. Listen, when I found out about it, I backed off on it.
What do you mean you learned it? You read about it? Or
Yeah, I think I read about it, saw it on a news report that mixing the two. I think when I learned that, I really backed off to clonazepam. Yeah, but I didn't know. beforehand. And so, it can depress the breathing and you can go into cardiac arrest. No, but when I used it, I was not aware of just how dangerous mixing the two were.
Joel, what was your mental health like during this time? Because, I mean, you're still caring for 3 small children.
Yeah.
You have a new girlfriend. What's going on in your mind?
I'm falling into a dark pit and I don't know how to get out of it. You start viewing the world in a different way when you're going into a depression. And we haven't hit rock bottom yet. But a year after we separated, my ex met somebody and she got pregnant with his baby. And when she told me that, I felt like, wow, I'm having a series of floors being pulled out from underneath me. And just prior to her telling me that she was pregnant, my job at CTV Edmonton had been changed and I was taken off the anchor desk. Not because of my Percocet usage, nobody knew about that, but a new supervisor came in who was mandated to make changes, and one of the decisions she made was to take me off the anchor desk, the 5 o'clock news. And that really hurt. And I'm on good terms with that person who made the decision, the news director. She's a really understanding, nice person, but she had a job to do. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I fell into that category.
Tell me why. I know the answer, but the pain of being removed from that anchor desk, explain it for someone who may not understand.
Listen, first off, when you're an anchor, you don't just sit there and read the news. Okay, you disseminate it, you write it, you vet other people's scripts. You don't just sit there and write it, because I've seen some comments on social media about it. It's a hard job, but it's a great job, and it's one of the best jobs in the world to have.
You were good at it.
Thank you. So are you. And so are we,
You were.
So I loved it. I love reporting too.
Yes.
And telling stories. It's in my blood. But when you're an anchor, you know when you're coming in the morning, and you know when you're going home in the evening. And you also know that you can manage a lunch break unless something massive breaks, news-wise. You have more uniformity to your day, okay? And I have 3 children, and I really became accustomed to that. When you are a reporter, you're out in the field, you don't know where you're going to be at the end of the day, if you're going to have to work late to do a live shot or not, so that's why.
It threw your day and your schedule into a tailspin when you were put on
yeah. Because I was like, listen, I did this reporting thing for 20 years, okay? I highly respect it, and I would do it again, but under the right circumstances, more maybe in documentary work or something where I can, schedule things out.
I always loved the way that you took ownership when you were on the desk, because even when we worked together, you weren't just an anchor, you produced that show too. I mean, you had your hands in every script and every story, and brilliant writer, and you took so much ownership of your job. You lived and breathed it. And did you feel like somewhat that your character was attacked, or that your credibility when she removed you, that it was like,
Yeah.
So all of this going on. So you see series of floors being pulled out from underneath you. I was falling. And, there's no coming out the opposite side. You have to climb back up. Okay? Sometimes I have these images in my mind when I've been in a deep, deep depression. This has happened to me twice, but the latest was most severe. But you have these images in this depression. You're falling into this deep pit. Oh, well, maybe if I keep going further down, I'll come out the other side in China, like they used to do in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. Okay? But there's No, that's Joel at the oddest times. There comes that sense of humor.
But it's true. That was the image in my mind, I'll come out the other side in China with bugs and Elmer Fudd. But no, you have to climb back up.
And that was the thing. So you're taking the Percocet, you've been removed from your position. Your brothers have always been there for you every step of your journey.
Yeah, they have.
Tell me, they came to visit, didn't they?
David did. Now let me say this, okay? Prior to David's visit, okay, with work, I was taken off the anchor desk and I was put back in the field as a reporter, as a senior reporter. Okay, so I had that, but I was in a tailspin, and I ended up taking medical leave. Okay, and then my brother David comes in. Dr. David Gotlib is a psychiatrist. Okay, he's been the head of emergency psychiatry at a Toronto hospital, and he's a very, very smart man. I was really looking forward to his visit because I didn't know how to get out of this, and I thought my psychiatrist brother could offer me sound advice on how to be happy again. And yes, so he comes in, and we end up having a chat in my basement. And I'm telling all of this to him that I've just told to you. And I asked him, how do I get out of this? Like, I'm so depressed. I don't feel like doing anything. All I want to do is sleep, because that's where I have my peace. But then I wake up and I open my eyes and I realize my reality. How do I get out of this? And David asked me, how many pills are you taking a day? How many Percocets are you taking? And I said, it has nothing to do with Percocet, David. I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about that. It doesn't have anything to do with the pills. And he said, actually, Joel, it has everything to do with the pills. Right? It's all about the pills. And then I sat there and I realized I either had to admit to the truth or keep hiding behind this addiction and denying it. And I said to him, I need to go to rehab, don't I? And he said, yeah, that would be a good idea. And I said, I knew it. I knew it. I had a feeling all along I was going to end up in rehab. Is that the only way out of this? I asked him. And he said, yeah, it's the right place to start. Okay? This is in December of 2017, and just prior to Christmas. So I go upstairs and I sit down with Joanna,
your girlfriend,
my girlfriend at the time, my now fiance, and I say to her, David says I have an addiction. David says I'm addicted to Percocet.
Do you think she knew that prior to that?
She had an idea. She had a pretty good idea, but she'd never heard me admit it. So,
what was her reaction?
Calm. She was calm, understanding, and was like, okay, well, then we have to do something about this. Okay? You know you have a problem. David knows you have one. We've admitted this. We have to fix this. We have to do something about it. So she helped me find a rehab center. But I didn't go to rehab, for another month and a half after this revelation. So I'm still in a very dark place.
Did you continue to use?
Of course I did. I took as many as I needed to make me feel happy, but I wasn't happy, Carrie. You see, what happened from the time I started, I went in a steady, slow decline.
Even worse.
Yeah, well, what do you mean even worse?
You were at a place here, you're ready to go to rehab, but you just continued.
I continued sliding down, and I was trying to devise ways to commit suicide. But I would think of how I would do it so I wouldn't make a mess. But then I think, well, I can't do this. I have 3 children who love me, and a girlfriend who is there for me, and it would devastate my ex-wife too, who's a good friend, and my family and friends. Like, you don't initially think about the consequences of what you may end up doing, but you're so miserable and you don't know how to get out of it and how there's going to be a bright light that you start going there in your mind. Oh God. So yeah, I thought about it, but I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I had to get help. So we came upon the orchard. She found the orchard online, told me about it. I looked at all the reviews, and I ended up calling them. And 5 days after I called, I got there on January 31st of 2018.
Rehab.
Rehab.
Okay.
That was an experience.
What were you thinking when you were heading out there? Were you committed 100%?
No. Before I went to rehab, I was running out of Percocet and I went to see my doctor. And I told him I was going to rehab, that they were going to wean me off the Percocet when I was there. So I want to make sure I don't run out and go into withdrawal. So he prescribed 300 Percocet for me.
300 pills?
Yeah, to be taken over the course of 6 weeks.
Joel, I have to ask, do you ever have anger towards your doctors?
You know what? No, I don't. Because I think, how do I put this? I put them in a position where I was pleading with them. I explained to them all the difficulties I was going through in my personal life, and going through withdrawal was the last thing I needed. Okay, so that's how I presented it. Okay, so he told, but that's the answer to your question. So I knew the pills were going to be taken away from me when I got to rehab. And I didn't need 300 pills when I was there, because they were going to be taken away from me. So how do I save some? So I stashed 150 of them in a ski boot in the basement, which defeats the whole purpose of going to rehab. But that's the addict's mind. Okay? I get to rehab, and am I talking too much here?
No.
Okay. I get to rehab. Excuse me. How did I feel going there, you asked me? I was hunched over. I was in a very deep depression. I had either a scowl or a bitch face on me. Okay? I was not happy. I was scared. I knew I had to go. I was following the schedule that Joanna and I had mapped out. She came with me to Vancouver because I went to Bowen Island's Orchard Rehab Facility. So she came to Vancouver with me.
Can I ask, did you take Percocet on the way there?
Yes. I took Percocet all the way to the rehab center, Carrie. There's a ferry you have to take from North Vancouver to get to Bowen Island, and I was taking Percocet on the ferry. It's the addict's way of acting.
You checked in, pick up the story of what happened from there.
Right, so I check in, and immediately I feel uncomfortable, and I feel like I'm surrounded by people who are addicted to much harder drugs, and perhaps this isn't the place for me. I settle in on the first night. My first full day there, next morning, I start going to seminars with the clients, and at around noon, I start going through withdrawal in the middle of a seminar. And something clicks in my head that says, you know what? You need to get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's go back home. You got 150 Percocet waiting for you there. So I storm into the office, and I tell the receptionist, who do I talk to about leaving? And she says to me, you mean leaving in 28 days when you're done? I said, no, I mean, right now. Who do I talk to about leaving right now? Well, you're going to have to talk to Joanna about that. Joanne is a director, okay? She's not the executive director, but she's the director to my understanding. That's the office you end up in if you choose to leave before you're done. And a nurse who was working at the time that day joins the conversation, and I knew I'm in for the talk, quote unquote, the talk. And they say to me stuff like, you realize if you leave and start taking Percocet again because you've been off them, that it could kill you. Okay, this is a life and death decision that you're making. And they said, listen, if you don't like this rehab, there are other rehabs out there, but they're much more strict. I said, no, I don't want to go to another rehab. I just don't want to be here. I want to leave here. It's my money. I'm entitled to make this decision. And at one point, the director says to me, I'm wearing them down, right? She goes, is this the real Joel talking, or is this the addicted Joel talking? And I sat there with my forehead in my hand, and I say, it's the addicted Joel talking. I need some decide I need to call my girlfriend Joanna at home. So I get on the phone, I call Joanna, and I spend about 30 minutes wearing her down on why I should leave. And she says, if you choose to leave, it will have consequences. And you need to deal with that, okay? And I said, I know, but listen, I don't belong here. There are fentanyl addicts here, there are heroin addicts here. This is, I'll do this, I say to her, but I'm not ready to do it right now. And it gets to the point in the conversation where she says, you know what? You want to come back? Fine, come back, all right? Get on a plane and come home. And then I thought, I'm not going back to that. I don't want to deal with that. So I knew I had to stay. Okay, so I was there for 28 days. You can be there for 42 or 90. I was there for 28 days. The next pivotal point, because I still have the Percocet stashed in the ski boot at home.
Is that still in the back of your mind?
Yes, of course it is. You can't surrender completely to the program unless you become clean, unless you come clean on everything. Right? So I meet this guy, his name's Lance, really nice guy out in Stone Plain. I hope he's well. And Lance, if you're out there. Okay, so I have this conversation with a guy named Lance. And I tell him about the stash that I have waiting for me at home. And our good rapport turns 180 degrees. And he's like, what? Are you kidding me? He says. Then why are you here, man? Oh my God, I can't believe this. Seriously, dude? He's pulling this reaction on me. And then I thought to myself, I have to tell her, I have to tell Joanna, she has to throw out all the pills that may have an addictive edge to them. So I called Joanna minutes later, and I was miserable and depressed, but I knew I had to do it. And I say, I need to tell you something. I got 300 pills stashed, or 150 pills stashed in the ski boot in the basement. You need to get it, you need to throw it out. You need to go to the medicine chest, and you need to find anything that is oxy or benzo related. You need to take it and get rid of it, okay? And, she's like, wow, you know what, I'm really proud of you. And I responded with, yeah, good, okay, I appreciate that, but you know what, I just don't want to talk right now. Okay, I'm not happy about this, but I know I have to do it. Okay, so just do it. I have to tell you, I don't want to talk anymore. Okay? I'm not happy.
This is day one of rehab.
This is this is day 3. Day 3 of rehab. Okay? And then we come to day 5 of rehab, and I had my first assignment to do, which was to write about my last 90 days that led me to treatment. All right, so I wrote 5 pages of my life for 90 days prior to arriving at the orchard. And I really opened up. And I still have those pages with me. Not with me here, but I have them at home. So I'm not going to read them now. All right. So we have small group as part of treatment, okay? Every day they break you down into smaller groups, and you're with a counselor, and you share, right? This is my favorite part of rehab. I love rehab at the orchard. It was the best thing for me. I present my 90 days. You read it out loud, and there's 6 or 7 other people with you and a counselor. All the counselors there are recovering addicts, by the way, okay? And I read my 5 days, and I look up, and everybody is captivated, and they all let out a big, big breath. Wow. And there's this moment of silence, and I realized just how intense the material was that I just read. And my counselor looks at me and she says, wow, Joel, you're a miracle. Because I was in her. I was I was in the office with her on day 1, telling her I wanted out. And here we are on day 5. And she has just heard my 90 days where I have surrendered. I talk about I talk about it all, including telling Joanna that I had stashed Percocet at home. And somebody says, wow, it sounds like you were just reading like a book. You should be an author. I'm getting all these compliments and pats on the back. And I entered this new realm of rehab where I've surrendered and I'm starting to connect with my brothers and sisters there and the counselors. And that was the TSN turning point, as they say.
There's that
Yeah.
sensei.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah.
that was on day 5?
It was on 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it was on, let's say it was 5. It may have been day 4, but I'm pretty sure it was day 5.
So, your TSN turning point, like you like to call it, day 5. What did you do for the rest of the 23 days? What happened?
Well, we had more assignments that we had to do. We had to do a lifeline where you present to everybody your life from when you were born until you got to the orchard. I presented that. And
How many pages was that?
no, it's on a big whiteboard. It's on a big whiteboard with, that marker that you can erase with,
Yeah,
with a
got
piece
it.
of cloth.
Okay.
So I mapped that out and I did that. We had seminars every day and small group every day. We went on hikes and walks and AA meetings in town.
And what were you feeling during the course of all this?
I was starting to feel better. All of a sudden,
Describe better.
I started feeling like Joel again. This glass window that was stopping me from really feeling and knowing and being into what's going on with my children, and my girlfriend, and my family is coming down. And I call my brother David and I say, I just want to thank you, okay? That you helped save my life, and I just appreciate everything you have done for me. I'm recording videos of me and sending them to my 3 beautiful children. Daddy's good, Daddy's happy, I miss you, I love you. And, all the while, I ended up loving rehab. I felt like I was going to high school every day with these people. Because you have these meaningful discussions. You have former addicts all presenting to you a parallel that they all have. A parallel all recovering addicts have is that their life gets better, okay? The line starts going up. It's not uncanny. It's just the way it is. So that's what I did, and I wasn't dreading the next 15 days I had to stay, or 14 or 13. I was enjoying my time there, and I ended up being a co-captain. They name a captain each week to, help run things in the residence that you're all staying at, and who's going to cook this and who's going to vacuum that. Joel got voted in a co-captain. And I was like, okay, I'll help run the show.
I have to explain to our listeners, I'm not laughing at the situation, I'm laughing at you.
I know,
It's
I know.
that sense of humor that I've known and loved for so many years.
Thanks.
And, that the light's back in your eyes.
Yeah, well, there's a before and after picture, and that really says it all.
Mm-hmm. We're going to post that on YouTube so that everybody can see that. How many days since rehab, and how did you feel leaving it?
Oh, I felt so good. I felt so good leaving it. I crawled out of the hole that I was in, and I had the pivotal change in my life that I needed to want to carry on. Okay? A good friend of mine, Brianna Carson-Smith, CTV reporter in Vancouver, was nice enough to visit me when I was there, and then she picked me up. I left rehab with a big smile on my face. But, let me temper that, because on the day that I was leaving, one of the people who had left rehab while I was there, an alcoholic problem, she was coming back. She had completed 42 days, and the day I was leaving, she walked in and, in tears, and it just illustrated to me how demonic addiction can be. Everybody has to understand addiction is a disease, right? It has been proven by the medical community. I left rehab and I came home a new person. I came home a completely new person. I used to be so nervous when my children would come over. I have shared custody, and I get 5 or 6 days with them. I'd be so nervous before they came, and I didn't even know how to handle it. It became too much for me, I got a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and that's some work. And if you're suffering from an addiction and you're in the depths of depression, that's really hard to manage properly. You need to connect with your children. I am connecting with my children again, connecting with my fiance, connecting with my family, connecting with my ex, connecting with my friends, and I see the world for what it truly is. And since leaving CTV Edmonton, I have been, spent the year kind of recovering from all this stuff I went through and seeking a direction. What is my next direction? And I may be jumping ahead of our interview. We can get to that.
Why is it not surprising you that you're hijacking it?
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm backing off. I surrender. I surrender, just like in rehab. I surrender.
How many days?
Okay, so how many days, you asked? Well, my anniversary date of being clean is February 1st of 2018. So it is a year and February, March, April, a year and almost 4 months. Thank you.
That's huge. Congratulations. I need to understand that when you say addict, does this mean just pills, or are you clean of everything? Do you drink alcohol? Do you anything else? Or
I'm clean of everything. I'm clean of everything. I was never an alcoholic. I had a long-standing problem with gambling. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm taking homeopathic stuff and trying to live the clean life. I am living the clean life.
It was just, Joel, for all of our listeners today, like I said, we worked alongside you, we're friends, we never saw this. Are there warning signs? What do we need to learn from your journey? What do we need to be aware of? Because this opioid situation is a crisis.
Yeah, it's really scary. What do you need to learn from this?
What do you want the world to know from your journey and your story?
I want people suffering from addiction, I want them to be able to admit that they have a problem and come forward and seek help and not be ashamed. I have long admired people who have gone to rehab and come out and lived a better life. I think it's an amazing thing.
The opioids are different. They call it like the white collar drug or something. They're different. Do you not agree?
Well, yes, I do agree, but nothing. I agree.
So what do we need to know of that? You go to the doctor and you say, I'm in pain, give me more Percocet.
Well, doc, if somebody is saying, give me more Percocet, then the medical community needs to acknowledge that they're dealing with a patient who is either addicted or becoming addicted. If your loved one is suffering from an addiction, it should be instinctual. If it's not instinctual, then you look for somebody who is becoming less interested, okay, and who is becoming detached, and somebody who is experiencing a slow decline in how they are handling their life, okay? And look for glazed eyes, and you can't be afraid to admit it because it won't end well if you don't. Okay? So that's what you need to look for. But the addicts need to, acknowledge. I don't want to preach and tell people what to do, but you're asking me what people need to look for, and I'm telling you what I think people need to look for.
Thank you for your honesty on that.
You're welcome.
You have shown unbelievable vulnerability and courage in coming forward and telling this story in a city that knows and loves you. Why?
Because I suffered in silence for too long. And I knew that something good had to come out of this. That something good can come out of this and help change lives for the better and make a contribution to our world that will help make it a better place. That's why. I had a story to tell, and I I know it's important to share it. That's why.
And that's what's next for you, right? Is sharing
Yeah.
that story everywhere?
That's what I want to do, Carrie. If people are interested in hearing what it is I have to say, and it seems like they are, I would love to travel the world and share my story with people and help them. If this is helping people, then yeah, I would love to do that.
Then do it. And also write a book.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I will. I
your
will.
story will change and impact lives. And I know anyone listening today is feeling that too. Bravery, courage, vulnerability, character, humor. It's a
Thanks.
lead, Joel. It's
Thank
a
you.
lead. And thank you for stepping into the inner circle. I wrap my arms around you. I thank you for your years of friendship and for the laughs. And I look forward to continuing them into the future. And I really look forward to seeing what you do next in life. You have so much to give. And whether it's on a stage somewhere, doing a little bit of stand-up comedy, or whether it's motivational speaking, your future is bright.
Thank you.
With your new fiance, with Joanna, and with your children, I wish you nothing but health and happiness. Thank you for sharing your story with me today.
Thank you, and God bless.